Have you ever noticed that high performers tend to track their net worth down to the very penny, but then they forget about the only real asset that guarantees to go to zero for all of us? The math says you have about 2,000 weeks left in your life. Here are the physics on how to spend them. Time is the most finite asset and most important asset we have. And unfortunately, most of us don't know how to spend it very well. And here's the mortality math: 4,000 weeks is your total lifespan on average. And so if you're middle aged, you have about 2,000 weeks left. Now, it's not to be morbid, it's just to be clarifying of what do I want to do today? Yeah, what kind of life do I want to live? And so there's this mountaintop fallacy where there's no arriving. There's always a new mountaintop. Once you get to one peak, you're going to see another peak. And the only true finish line is death. It's just the truth. Like, I'm about being practical and honest about reality. And it's not even your fault because since you're 4 or 5 years old, you've been conditioned to think this way. Think about when you first go to school, kindergarten, your parents and your friends and society tells you, well, just wait till you get to grade school and first grade. And then once you get to third grade and then seventh grade and then junior high, and then you're going to be in high school. And then, oh, then you'll be able to figure out what your major is and you'll have a lot more clarity. You'll be happy and you'll be popular. And then college, you'll be able to, really figure out what you want to do for a lifetime. And then you can go to grad school and become an expert so that you can make more money. And then you can get that Fortune 500 job. And then you get the job and then you're there for 40, 50 years doing something you absolutely hate for 12 hours a day and bad commutes. And then you get to retire when you're 70 years old and go to Greece and then die 5 years later. Like, literally, we've been chasing this imaginary carrot since you were five. So what's the strategy? Since you can't win the game of time because it expires for all of us, the only logical answer is to enjoy the entire ride. To me, the whole purpose of life is to enjoy the experience of life. It's an amazing experience. What an amazing place to be, planet Earth, with all this stuff and all this intricacies and technology and nature. And like, what the hell is all this? This is awesome. So why not enjoy it? Even the quote unquote difficulties, take that as a challenge. That's the only strategy that's actually logical. When is enough? This is about the enough algorithm. And it reminds me of entrepreneurs are very similar to animals. They run on primal instincts. And when I was in Istanbul not too long ago, I was there for a few months. I took a walk in the park on the water, and I noticed a pack of dogs running after one dog. And this dog was running for his dear life. And it's just like high performers. We're running, 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 running. We don't even know why we're running, where we're running to, what we're running from. Because if that dog turned around and faced the pack of dogs and quit running, what would have happened? The dogs would have stopped chasing and the dogs would have literally turned around and found something more interesting to do. They were both running on this primal instinct. We have to define the cap. Like, when is enough enough? When are we done chasing these titles, these houses, this income, this prestige? And when are we going to actually realize I'm still empty? This is exactly what happened to me. I chased all these things. I got all these things, and I still felt like this wasn't what I was looking for. You can tell someone to your blue in the face, $100,000 in your bank won't make you happy. $500,000 in your bank won't make you happy. $1 million in your bank won't make you happy. But until you've tasted these successes, you don't realize the reality of, oh, I thought that was it, but it wasn't. And so this is about being a leader. And lions lead. They decide the direction they're going to go, and they go on their own accord. And just by chance, the rest of the pride follows them. Unlike sheep look around and see what everyone else is doing, and then they do the same thing. And typically, sheep that are following other sheep, they fall off a ledge. Anxiety versus options. The worst clients and the worst people to be in relationships with are the ones with zero options. And literally, abundance kills anxiety. If you have a client and you are working on the only deal they have, and without this deal, they cannot pay their mortgage, that client is going to be a nightmare. They're going to be calling you all the time. They're going to be emailing you day and night. they're going to try to transfer their anxiety onto you because they have no options. If you have a wife, a significant other, a girlfriend, and she has no friends, she doesn't talk to her family, she relies on you for everything. She needs you for income. She needs you for emotional support. She needs you. She is you. You are her world. That's going to be a miserable relationship because she has no options. Time leverage is all about Parkinson's law. And Parkinson's law is basically a container rule. And what it means is work expands to fill the time available. If I gave myself a week to shoot this YouTube video, it would take me a week. If I gave myself an hour, it would take me an hour. If I gave myself 15 minutes, it would take me 15 minutes. This is why I always force myself to only work 4 hours a day because it eliminates low leverage, busy work. I'm looking for the single activity that has the highest leverage. And I'm thinking, put a little in, get a lot out. And there is a fear of perfectionism because that is literally you trying to be perfect. And humans do not execute because they fear judgment. And the biggest judgment isn't externally, it's actually internally. Because what happens is if we judge ourselves, that means we are literally questioning our entire perception of our identity. We built a perception of who we are. And if someone from the outside judges us, well, that's them. They don't know who I am. But if I see my deficiencies clearly because I'm afraid to ship and put something out there and take action, so I do nothing, well, then I preserve my self-image. So I always have an adage. I try to remind myself of this because it's not easy because I'm a perfectionist. Simple now, perfection later. Because if you execute now and realize through the execution, you're going to get data, a feedback loop that you can now iterate and make it better next time. It's no different than if you're on a plane. Do you realize a plane from JFK to LAX is off track 99% of the time? It's just course correcting every second. It's literally in real time a feedback loop while you're on a plane. You just don't realize it. And it still gets to where you're going. The compound effect, it's called the eighth wonder of the world for a reason. If you think about the Grand Canyon, it wasn't built in a day. It wasn't built in a year. It wasn't built in 100 years. It was built in millions of years because it was consistent, small drops of water that built that magnificent structure. If you think about the great pyramids in Egypt, they were built stone by stone over many generations. Small 1% daily improvements. If you think about Warren Buffett, who talks about compounding be the eighth wonder of the world, the reason why he's one of the richest people in the world is because he let his money compound. He was not some genius. He just had a lot of time and he's old. That is the power of compounding. And so there's this talent strategy, and it's about not hoarding your resources and actually leveraging your skills so you can multiply your success. And this is a parable in the Bible about the talents. And the story goes like this. There is a master and he's going away on vacation, and he has three servants, and he gives the servants each money, coins, based on how talented they are. And so he gives the first servant 5 coins, he gives the second servant 2 coins, and he gives the third servant 1 coin. And when he comes back from vacation, he asks the servants, well, what did you do with your money? And the first servant says, well, I have 10 coins now. He multiplied them by 2x. He had 5, now he has 10. The second servant, he did the same thing. Now he has 4. He had 2 before. And the third servant, he sheepishly looked at the master and said, I only have 1. He did nothing with his talent. And so the master asked, why didn't you do anything with this? He said, I was afraid of your judgment. This is exactly why people stay stuck, is because they have talents, they have skill, but they're afraid to use them to service the greater good and the good of society. And so what happened to the servant that did nothing with his 1 coin? The master took the coin and gave it to the servant that made 5 into 10. So not only do you lose money by not using your talent and your skill, but you lose the skill itself. If you don't use it, you lose it. This is a contrarian take, but I think bucket lists are for losers. Why would you ever postpone your joy for some future date that may or may not come? If you aren't fulfilled now, there's no chance in hell of you jumping out of a plane is going to give you lasting fulfillment in the future. It's silly. A better way to live, in my personal opinion, is to look at life through the lens of compound effect. Do today the best you can do today and let that compound. And if by chance an opportunity presents itself for you to jump out of a plane today, then take it. If an opportunity presents itself for you to hop on a plane to go to Egypt to check out the pyramids, take it. Trying to plan for a future that you have no control over isn't the bright idea. The best guess protocol. This is about a illusion story I had in Dubai. I was living in Dubai for a few months, and I realized plans are just hypotheses, and there is no true control. I'm going to the airport to leave Dubai, and I think I have plenty of time to get there until I get in my Uber and I realize there's a shit ton of traffic. And so all of a sudden, I'm pissed, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, not at myself, but at why is there this unexpected traffic? By the time I get to the airport, I'm all sweaty, I'm running, I'm trying to get there on time. I get to the gates and the flight is an hour delayed. And this is a perfect analogy is no matter how much you plan, there always is going to be outside forces you can't control. You have to live with that. And so I realized I was just borrowing trouble from the very beginning, worrying about am I going to make the flight? But then if you actually realize and analyze your life, you'll see that whatever you were worried about will turn into another worry. Because once I got to the airport and I realized, oh yeah, the flight's okay, it's delayed an hour. I'm not going to miss it. But then I started worrying about, oh, I need to convert my currency. Well, how am I going to do that? And then also, what about my Airbnb when I get to the next destination? What about that? And then what about my SIM card? And then what about that? Like, if you're not worried about your money problems, you're worried about relationship. If you're not worried about your relationship, you're worried about your health. If you're not worried about your health, you're worried about the weather. Like, it's always something. And literally, this is a cancer. It's mental chatter that does not matter. It's a waste of energy. The reality of life is everyone is winging it, from doctors to deal makers. Everyone is figuring everything out in real time. If you think about doctors, even I don't know, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, they literally believed that if you were sick, they would just slice you open and let you bleed out. And if you bled out all your blood, then you would be healed. And physicians 100, 200 years ago were the top of the food chain as far as status, as far as income. They were the cat's meow. And these folks believed this worked. They were winging it. Turns out it was a bad idea. And turns out there's many things that are going on right now in society that are bad ideas that we'll realize in hindsight. But the point is just try your best and then turn the fucking page and do it again tomorrow. Everyone else is doing it, from the most powerful people to the least powerful people. The only difference, the powerful people are consistently winging it. The people that are broke, destitute, frustrated, even the people in the middle that are just kind of like going through the motions, they're not winging it. They're following someone else's script. Action, iteration, action. Data, feedback loop, action. It's a circle. The news crew. So what would you do if a news crew was following you? This is a great thought experiment. If a news crew is following you today, what would you be doing? Would you be sitting on the couch, contemplating going to the gym? Would you be twiddling your thumbs at the office? Would you be BSing through life? Would they see a lion or would they see a sheep? My guess is they're going to see a lion, someone that's focused, someone that's decisive, someone that's intentional, someone that's charismatic. They're not going to see a sheep. So why not just do that for yourself? And how do you do it? You literally take action. And the best way to do it is ask yourself, okay, what would the highest version of me do right now? It's going to come to your mind. Your natural intuition knows what the highest version of yourself would do, which also has the highest leverage. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get out of bed, go to the gym, pick up the phone, whatever it is, you know what to do. Just start. White space is so important. Music is beautiful, not because of the notes, it's because of the silence in between the notes. In order to see clearly, you must have contrast. Music is all about contrast, from the sound to the silence. Same thing with art. Art is the contrast between the color in the black canvas or the color in the white canvas. It's the contrast. And so your life needs space too. And this is about breaking away and taking time to do absolutely nothing. No phone, no podcast, no music, just you and your thoughts. Because your intuition is going to start talking about the truth, about ideas, insights. They whisper, they don't yell. You must eliminate the noise for at least an hour a day to get clear. And by the way, one of the reasons why I only work for 4 hours a day and I compress my window is so that I have time for this white space.